I want you to close your eyes for a second. Just picture this.
Okay.
You're at a restaurant, and I don't mean just any restaurant. We're talking about a place with, the white tablecloths, the heavy silverware.
Moose lighting.
Exactly, maybe a quiet jazz trio playing something in the corner. You're there with someone you really want to impress. Could be a date, could be a client, maybe it's your in-laws.
The stakes are high.
The stakes are very high. The lighting is low. The vibes are immaculate, and you are feeling confident. You're projecting competence.
Oh, I can already feel where this is going. You are setting the stage for an absolute tragedy.
Oh, 100%. Because in the span of about 3 seconds, that entire carefully constructed illusion is about to shatter into a million pieces.
Right.
Maybe the waiter's standing there, pen poised, the entire table is looking right at you, and you open your mouth to order the coq au vin.
The classic.
And what comes out is just complete gibberish. You just stumble over the words. Or, arguably worse, much worse, the check arrives. That little black leather folder. It lands on the table with a soft, ominous thud. You casually reach for your back pocket to grab your wallet, and your hand meets.
Nothing.
Nothing. Just fabric.
That is the stuff of actual nightmares. I mean, it's not just an awkward moment. That feels like a primal fear.
It's a visceral, physical horror.
Oh.
And that feeling, that exact moment, is what we're unpacking today.
We're going deep on social anxiety.
We are, but through a very specific lens. We're not just talking about general dining etiquette here. We're talking about survival mechanisms. We're diving into a really fascinating broadcast from a source called the Intro Hub.
Right.
Specifically, their guide on navigating restaurant mishaps.
Which is, I have to say, a very polite title for what is essentially a crisis management handbook for social disaster.
It really is.
Yeah.
So the mission for this deep dive is pretty simple. We're going to take the specific dramas, and I love that the source calls them that, dramas.
It's the perfect word.
It is. We're going to unpack the psychology behind why these moments hurt so much, and then we're going to extract the linguistic tools, the hidden English, and the very specific rescue lines that you need to keep your dignity intact when the universe decides to humble you in front of a breadbasket.
And it's worth noting right up front, the source material is deceptively deep.
How so?
Well, on the surface, if you just skim it, it kind of looks like a vocabulary list for, say, an English learner.
Right. Here's some phrases to use in a restaurant.
Exactly. But when you actually analyze what the Intro Hub is doing here, they're connecting vocabulary to physiology. They are making a very bold, very interesting argument that having the right words ready in your brain can actually stop your body's stress response from hijacking the moment.
That is a huge claim. Vocabulary is emotional regulation.
It is.
It sounds almost academic or clinical,
Yeah.
but when you're sweating through your shirt because you can't pay for your lobster, I imagine it becomes very practical very, very quickly.
It does. And I think by the end of this deep dive, you're going to see exactly how that mechanism is supposed to work.
Okay, so let's get into the mess. Let's start with the anatomy of a restaurant fail, as the source puts it.
Right.
They don't just list them as mistakes or errors. Like we said, they categorize them as dramas with a capital D. Why do you think they made that specific distinction? Why drama?
I think drama is the perfect word because a restaurant, especially the kind you described, is a stage. Think about it. You have an audience, your dining companions, the people at the next table, the staff. You have a script, the menu, the rituals of ordering, tasting the wine, paying the bill.
You're performing a role, the role of the competent diner.
Precisely. And when you deviate from that script, it's not just a logistical error, it's a performance failure. You've broken character. And the source identifies two main acts in this particular tragedy. The first is ordering the wrong food.
Which, on paper, sounds so trivial.
Right, it does.
Oh no, I got the salad instead of the soup. But the Intro Hub lists this as a primary fail, right up there with these other serious issues. Why is this ranked so high in the hierarchy of social anxiety?
I think it comes down to the power dynamic of the situation. When you order, you are theoretically in charge.
You're the customer.
We're the customer, you're the one directing the resources of this large establishment. But the menu is often written in a language, sometimes literally French or Italian, but always culturally. that you might not fully grasp.
It's a test.
It is a test, and if you misread the menu, or you mangle the pronunciation of a word, or you just panic and point at something random because the waiter is staring at you.
And everyone at the table has gone quiet.
Yes, that spotlight moment. In that instant, you've ceded control. You've signaled to the tribe, so to speak, that you aren't fully comfortable or competent in this environment.
I have done this. I have absolutely panic ordered. The waiter comes over, all conversation at the table stops, that spotlight hits you, and suddenly you can't find the thing on the menu you've been planning to order for the last 10 minutes.
Your mind goes blank.
Totally blank. So you just say the first thing you see that you recognize, chicken. And then you spend the next 40 minutes eating a dry, boring chicken breast you didn't even want, all because you couldn't navigate the social pressure of that 10-second interaction.
Right. And notice the key part of your story there. You suffer in silence.
Oh, complete.
The drama is entirely internal. You are eating your mistake because the act of correcting it feels more socially dangerous than just enduring it. That is the absolute essence of the social anxiety that the intro hub is targeting with its advice.
That's it. The fear of making a scene is greater than the disappointment of the meal.
Exactly. But the source suggests that this is just the warm-up act.
Okay.
The real main event, the level 10 drama, as they frame it, is the second scenario.
The forgotten wallet.
The forgotten wallet.
The source uses a very, very specific phrase to describe this moment. They don't say, you realize you have no money. They don't say you forgot your card. They say, realizing your stomach dropped.
That phrase, it must have caught your attention too.
He did, immediately.
Stomach dropped. It's not a description of the event. It's a physiological marker.
It's so accurate, though. It's that elevator falling sensation right inside your ribcage. It's so specific. So why does the source focus on the body, on the physical feeling, rather than the practical problem of the wallet?
Because I think they're highlighting the shift from a simple logistical problem to what feels like a primal threat.
A threat. That feels strong.
Well, think about what's happening in your body. When you realize you cannot pay, your brain doesn't register it as a simple mistake. It can trigger a fight or flight response.
Wow.
This is pure evolution. Biologically, blood is rushing away from your digestive system, hence the drop feeling in your stomach, and it's flooding into your extremities, into your limbs, so you can either run away from or fight a predator.
Which is deeply ironic, because running away, the dine and dash, is the one thing you absolutely cannot do in this situation if you want to maintain any social standing.
Precisely. You are trapped in your chair with this biological imperative to flee. And let's look at the social contract angle of this.
Okay.
You have consumed resources. The food, the wine, the service, the ambiance. You've made an implicit promise to the establishment. I eat, therefore I will pay.
Right.
When you realize the wallet is missing, you have inadvertently but completely broken that contract. That creates a vulnerability gap that is so profound it becomes physically painful. The intro hub is essentially telling us, we know this hurts, we know your stomach is on the floor, here is how to fix it with words.
It's just the worst feeling. It is so interesting that the intro hub pairs this physical reaction so directly with the forgotten wallet. It really implies that of all the things that can go wrong, spilling a glass of wine, dropping a fork, even ordering the wrong food.
Which we just established is a big deal.
A very big deal. But that the financial disconnect is the one that truly hits us on a physical gut level.
Because it turns a simple logistical error, I do not have my card, into an emotional event. A moral one, even.
Moral one. How so?
Well, the drama here isn't just about the money. It's about the feeling of exposure, of being a fraud almost. You are consuming a service that in that moment you cannot immediately compensate the establishment for. That breach of contract is what triggers the shame, the physical manifestation of that shame.
So we have this setup. We are in the restaurant. We are in a state of crisis.
We are not having a good time.
Not at all. We have either ordered the wrong thing and are silently suffering through a plate of bad chicken, or worse, we're sitting there with that cold, hollow feeling in our gut because our pocket is empty.
The drama is at its peak.
Now, the source material pivots. It moves from the problem to the toolkit. They call this section Hidden English.
And this is such a fascinating categorization. Hidden English.
Yeah, let's unpack that concept first, because as a native speaker, I look at the list of phrases they provide, and I just think, okay, these are idioms. But why call them hidden? What is hidden about them?
I think it's because the meaning is hidden in plain sight. More importantly, the function is hidden.
What do you mean by function?
If you take a phrase like split the bill or on the house and you run them through a basic translation app, or even if you just analyze them logically word for word, they don't really explain what is actually happening between the humans at the table. These are high context phrases. The literal words on the surface mask a much more complex social negotiation happening underneath. The hidden part is the subtext, the social rule that's being invoked.
Right. If I say, it's on the house, I'm not, talking about the shingles on the roof of the building.
Exactly. And that is the first idiom the source lists. On the house.
This is the phrase you want to hear. This is the dream scenario if something has gone wrong.
It is the resolution to a drama that completely favors the customer. And the intro hub lists this as a key piece of hidden English for a reason. When a manager or a waiter says, don't worry about it, it's on the house, what are they actually saying?
They're saying it's free.
They're saying it's free, but more than that. They aren't saying Bob the waiter is paying for this out of his tips. They are saying the house, the establishment, the institution itself is absorbing the cost.
It depersonalizes the transaction in a really helpful way.
It does. It completely shifts the dynamic from a business transaction to a relationship-building gesture. It signals benevolence. It says, we value you as a guest more than we value the cost of this dish.
So if you've ordered the wrong food, that first drama we talked about, and the waiter sees you looking miserable at your unwanted fish.
Right.
And they come over and say, you know what, don't worry, we'll get you something else, and this is on the house. That physical anxiety we were talking about just vanishes.
Instantly. It's almost the direct antidote to the stomach drop. It restores your status. They are explicitly saying you are a valued guest, not a nuisance who made a mistake.
It's a powerful tool for the restaurant to use.
Very. But then we have the second idiom, which is much more about negotiation between diners. And frankly, it can be a bit more perilous if handled poorly.
Split the bill.
Split the bill.
This is one of those phrases that can actually cause drama if you aren't careful, but the source here is listing it as a tool, as a solution.
It is a tool for management, for managing the financial part of the meal. The mechanics here seem simple. Sharing the cost. But notice the word split. It implies a division, a separation of a shared burden.
So it's about taking a single large problem, the total bill, and breaking it into smaller, manageable pieces.
Precisely. And in the context of navigating restaurant mishaps, knowing how to properly use this phrase is crucial.
How does this help with the stomach drop scenario, though? If I have no wallet, I can't pay for my split either.
Well, think about the context. If you are dining alone and you forget your wallet, you are in serious trouble.
Right.
But if you are with a group and that stomach drop happens, you pat your pocket, it's empty. Knowing the term split the bill, or at least the concept behind it, allows you to pivot the conversation. You don't have to announce, I'm a failure who forgot his money.
You can frame it differently.
You can frame it as a logistical problem. You can turn to a friend and say, hey, listen, I've had a bit of a nightmare. I left my wallet at home. Could you cover the whole thing and we can split the bill later via Venmo?
It changes the problem from I am broke to we need to adjust the logistics of payment.
Exactly. It makes it a math problem, not a moral failure. It puts the logistics out on the table for the group to solve. But the third idiom, this is the one I find the most interesting because it feels the most descriptive of the chaos we're talking about.
The one I use all the time.
The source lists. Going sideways.
Yes. Things have gone sideways. I love this phrase. The intro hub highlights this one specifically. And the nuance is so important. Why sideways? Why not things have gone south or things have gone down or things have gone wrong?
This is such a gem of a phrase. Let's just think about the visualization for a second. If a car goes belly up, it's done. It's a total loss.
Dead in the water.
Right. If something goes south, it implies a degradation, a steady decline in quality or fortune. But if something goes sideways...
It's just off track. It's not destroyed. It's just not going in the right direction anymore.
It is a deviation. It implies that motion is still happening, just not in the intended direction. It's a wonderfully soft euphemism. It's the difference between shouting, this is a disaster, and calmly stating, this is a complication.
It feels like it removes the element of blame, too. I didn't go sideways. Things went sideways. It's an external force.
That is the absolute key. It distances the speaker from the failure. It frames the situation, the missing wallet, the bad order, as an external event that has happened to the group or to the situation, rather than a mistake you personally committed.
It's brilliant.
It allows you to step outside the drama for a second and just observe it. Huh, look at that. Things are going sideways. Now how do we correct course?
It's almost like a cool-headed pilot's response. You know, when an engine falls off the plane and the pilot comes on the intercom and says, "Folks, it appears we have a slight situation developing in the port wing."
Yes. It projects control even in the face of chaos.
It lowers the panic level for everyone involved.
It acts as a verbal buffer against that panic. And that leads us perfectly into what the source calls the rescue line.
The grand finale.
Because the source doesn't just give us these words in a vacuum, it combines them into a single, powerful script to save your life when you realize that wallet is nowhere to be found.
Okay, this is the ultimate rescue strategy. I want to walk through this very slowly because the intro hub provides a verbatim script. They're literally telling you exactly what to say when your stomach drops to the floor. And honestly, just having a script ready is half the battle against panic.
It is. It's a pre-planned response designed to de-escalate both the internal panic and the external awkwardness simultaneously.
Okay, so let's set the scene again. I've finished my meal. I've had a lovely time. The check is on the table. I reach for my wallet. It's not there. My heart rate spikes. My stomach drops. I manage to flag down the waiter. And according to the source, I look them calmly in the eye and I say this.
Let's hear it.
"I'm so sorry things have gone a bit sideways. Is there a way I can pay via a digital app?"
Let's break that down because it's a masterclass in efficiency. There are 3 distinct, crucial movements in that one sentence.
Okay, first up, "I'm so sorry."
The apology. This is absolutely essential. You are acknowledging the breach of the social contract immediately.
You're not trying to hide it.
No, you're not pretending nothing is wrong. You are owning the disruption right away. If you skip this part, you look arrogant, or worse, like you're trying to get away with something.
But notice you don't overdo it. You don't say, "I'm a terrible person. I am a worm. Please forgive my incompetence." You keep it crisp. "I'm so sorry."
Simple, direct, respectful.
And then the callback to the idiom we just discussed. Things have gone a bit sideways.
This is where it gets really smart. By using that specific hidden English idiom, going sideways, you are doing 2 very clever things at once.
Okay.
1, you are subtly signaling that you are comfortable enough with the language and its nuances to use colloquialisms. You sound like you belong. But 2, and this is more important, as we just discussed, you are softening the blow immensely.
You're not yelling fire in a crowded theater.
Exactly. You aren't saying, "I have no money." You aren't saying, "I made a terrible mistake and I can't pay you." You are saying, "The situation has deviated from the plan. Things have gone sideways."
It makes it sound like a temporary, manageable, situational hiccup. Things went sideways, not I went sideways. It distances you just enough from the failure to keep your dignity intact.
It lowers the temperature immediately. If you blurt out, "I have no money," the waiter panics. Their mind goes to the worst-case scenario.
Right, they think you're trying to scam them.
But if you say, "Things have gone a bit sideways," the waiter gets curious, not alarmed. Okay, sideways how? What's the issue?
And that curiosity opens the door for the third and final part of the rescue line, the solution.
The modern twist. Is there a way I can pay via a digital app?
This is the pivot. The source presents the digital app as the Deus Ex Machina, the solution to the forgotten wallet drama.
And it's so relevant. 10, 15 years ago, if you forgot your wallet, what were your options? You were washing dishes in the back or leaving your expensive watch as collateral?
Or making the humiliating phone call to a friend or family member to come drive over with cash.
Right. But this rescue line works so well today because it reframes the problem entirely. The problem is no longer, "I cannot pay you." The problem is now, "I need to use a different method to pay you."
It turns a personal financial crisis into a simple tech support ticket.
That's the perfect way to put it. It reframes the issue from a fundamental lack of resources to a mere technical incompatibility. I don't have my physical wallet, but my digital capacity to pay is fully intact.
And in the modern restaurant landscape, this is a very reasonable, very common request. Almost expected.
It is. And by offering a potential solution in the same breath as you present the problem, you stop the waiter from having to solve it for you. You stop them from panicking. You are saying, "There is a problem, but don't worry, I have a plan."
It effectively stops the stomach drop for everyone involved. The waiter doesn't have to worry, you're going to dash out the door, your dining companions aren't mortified, and you don't have to start scrubbing pots. You just need to tap your phone.
And that connects all the way back to the source's inclusion of the forgotten wallet as the primary capital D drama. They wouldn't offer this incredibly specific, tech-focused rescue line if the wallet issue wasn't the central fear they're trying to solve. The digital app is the bridge over the sideways situation.
So if we step back and look at the whole picture here, what the Intro Hub is essentially teaching us is a pattern. It's a loop, really, a cognitive and linguistic process for handling social panic.
Yes, there is a very clear trajectory in the source material when you lay it all out. It starts with the internal panic, that stomach drop sensation.
Which is then triggered by the external drama, the ordering mistake, or far worse, the missing wallet.
From there, it equips you with the linguistic tool, the hidden English idioms like going sideways, or even just understanding a phrase like on the house so you know what your options are.
And finally, it all culminates in the resolution, using that specific three-part rescue line to pivot from problem to solution, often a digital one.
The big takeaway here seems to be that vocabulary is a form of emotional regulation.
Say more about that.
The source is making the case that knowing the right words, knowing this hidden English, is actually the key to stopping that physiological stomach drop from happening, or at least from spiraling out of control. If you know what to say, your brain doesn't have to hit the panic button.
That is such a powerful and practical idea, that this stomach drop only really happens when you run out of words. The panic comes from the silence, from not knowing what to do or say next.
Exactly, the void. If you have the script, you're safe. The anxiety comes from the improvisation, from the terrifying feeling of being off book on a very public stage.
So the Intro Hub isn't just teaching English vocabulary, it's teaching composure. It's teaching emotional self-defense.
I think so. When you don't have the words for a situation, you feel exposed. You feel powerless, almost like a child. But when you have a phrase like, things have gone a bit sideways in your back pocket, you're no longer the victim of the situation. You are an adult who is managing it.
It's all about preparedness. It's like carrying a spare tire in your car. You really hope you don't get a flat, but just knowing it's there stops you from worrying about every single bump in the road.
That's a great analogy. And think about how this applies beyond the restaurant for the listener right now. Maybe they aren't worried about ordering food. Maybe they are terrified about a big work presentation going wrong or a first date getting awkward. This pattern still holds.
How so?
Acknowledge the error up front. I'm sorry, I seem to have lost my place. Minimize the drama with a controlled, calm phrase. It seems our connection has gone a bit sideways. And then immediately offer a logistical pivot. Can everyone see my screen now? Or perhaps I can switch to the other file.
Things are going sideways. It's a universal rescue line.
It really is. It implies I'm still the captain of this ship, even if the ship is drifting slightly off course.
That's fascinating. I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, which is the idea of people-pleasing, or that deep-seated social anxiety in these public dining settings. We try so hard to be good customers that we often end up making things worse for ourselves.
Absolutely.
Does the source material touch on the danger of being too polite or too passive?
I think it's implicit in the ordering the wrong food drama. Why do we end up ordering the wrong food? Or, more to the point, why do we silently eat it?
Because we don't want to be a bother.
We don't want to be a bot. We don't want to ask questions. We don't want to be that guy at the table who has to ask the waiter what confit means or if the sauce has nuts in it. We value the appearance of smoothness and competence over the reality of our own enjoyment.
We'd rather be quietly miserable than risk a moment of awkwardness.
Yes. And the Intro Hub is suggesting, subtly, that it is far better to have a brief, controlled moment of drama, admitting a mistake, asking for a digital payment method, clarifying an order, than to suffer in silence for an hour.
That's a really good point. The person who sits there eating the salmon they secretly hate because they were too scared to correct the waiter is actually having a much more stressful experience than the person who says, whoops, looks like things went a bit sideways here. I actually ordered the chicken.
Exactly. The person who speaks up, using these tools, takes control of their experience. The person who stays silent is a victim of their own interpretation of this social contract.
So the ultimate takeaway from this source, from this whole deep dive, is use your words. Don't let the social pressure of the moment silence you into a bad meal or a panic attack.
Vocabulary is leverage. That's what it comes down to. If you know the idioms, on the house, split the bill, going sideways, you understand the unwritten rules of the game. And if you understand the rules, you can't really lose. You might have an awkward moment, but you won't have a fail.
I love that. Vocabulary is leverage. We started this deep dive talking about that horrible, cold, sinking feeling of dread, and I think we've successfully dismantled it piece by piece.
I think so. We've turned a monster that lives in your stomach into a manageable mouse.
Before we wrap this up, I have to ask you a personal question. Do you use going sideways in your real life, or is it just a restaurant thing for you?
Oh, constantly. It's one of my most used phrases. I use it with my kids all the time. Okay, it looks like bedtime has gone a bit sideways. I use it in work emails. The project timeline seems to be going sideways. We may need to reassess.
It's that versatile.
It is the most useful blame-deflecting euphemism in the English language because it always contains the promise that we can get back on track. If you are going sideways, you can still steer straight. If something is destroyed or ruined, well, you're done.
That is a fantastic thought to leave our listeners with. Language doesn't just describe our reality, it actively shapes it. If you tell yourself, I am a disaster, then you feel like a disaster. But if you tell yourself, things are just a bit sideways, you're simply a driver correcting your course.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, a huge thanks to the Intro Hub for their broadcast on navigating restaurant mishaps. It seemed like a small niche topic, but it really opened up a massive conversation about psychology, language, and control.
Always a pleasure to dig into these things.
For everyone listening, go enjoy your next meal out. Order whatever you want, even if you can't pronounce it. And if you reach for your wallet and it's not there, well, now you know exactly what to say.
Keep it sideways.
Maybe not keep it sideways,
Yeah.
but definitely know how to handle the sideways.